Hello, everyone. I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'm going to be breaking down our next matchup for UFC 321. In this one, we have Azat Maksum taking on Mitch Raposo. Maxim is 15 and 2 as a professional, 3 and 2 in his last 5 fights. Meanwhile, Raposo is 9 and 3 as a professional, and similar to Maxim, he's also 3 and 2 in his last 5 fights. Actually, you look at Tapology, they're basically the same right now, how they are. 3 fight win streaks, well, technically a little longer than that, but of their last 5. And now both of these fighters are on 2 fight skids. For Azat Maxim, he's 1 and 2 in the UFC, won his debut to Tyson Nam via split decision, then lost to Charles Johnson via split decision in his first MMA loss. And then most recently, this July, lost to Tagir Ulanbekov, but pushed Tagir to the absolute limits in that fight. And I'll talk more about that fight as we get closer, or as I continue the breakdown. For Raposo, he's currently winless under the Zuffa banner. He actually competed on The Ultimate Fighter back in season 29, Volkanovski versus Ortega, lost to Brady Heastan on the show, lost his Contender Series fight. But then the UFC called him on to fight Andre Lima at UFC 302 on short notice, lost that fight via split decision, even though it wasn't a split decision. I don't know why it was. And then most recently, this April, lost to Sumadarchi via split decision as well. Again, I didn't think it was a split decision, but it's whatever. Looking at this matchup, both these fighters are pretty similar. They're mostly primarily wrestlers, but they wrestle differently. For Azat Maksum, he relies more on that Dagestani style of wrestling, or the Caucasus region, where the first shot is not necessarily going to take down his opponent, but it creates contact. And from there, Maxim is able to use his chain wrestling and overall superior strength and trips and throws in the clinch to get his opponents down. From there, Maxim's pretty good at implementing the Dagestani handcuffs, good ground and pound, so that his opponent has no choice but to give up a worse position, whether that's giving up their back or letting Maxim go to mount. It just leads to a snowball effect. As Maxim takes you down, he basically just gives his opponents worse options, like, do I give up my neck and possibly a submission, or do I just keep letting him ground and pound? It's not good no matter what, but you're kind of stuck there. For Mitch Raposo, he's got good American-style wrestling, which is basically shoot for a single or double, run it up the pipe, and then take down his opponent. Problem is with Mitch Raposo, though, is you notice he's got good takedowns. He doesn't have that much good control, at least not of these last 2 fights. For Andre Lima, I mean, Lima's just very hard to take down in general and a really good fighter. So, no shame in that. But then you had Sumadarchi, who isn't as good and has notoriously struggled against good wrestlers and grapplers. And I thought Sumadarchi was able to defend the takedowns along the fence very well. And even when he did get taken down, he was often able to get right back up. I didn't think Mitch Raposo really had any answers for Sumadarchi. And like I said, his wrestling did not seem to work in the long run in that fight. Now, going to the Tagir Ulanbekov fight for Azat Maksum, like I said, he pushed Tagir to the absolute limit. And that was on short notice, too, about 2 weeks' notice when he replaced Kyoji Horiguchi. And and Azat Maksum, and I double-checked this, too, he defended all of Tagir Ulanbekov's takedowns and even got 3 takedowns of his own. Now I know he shot 7 times, but to take down Tagir that much, and not only that, to defend all of his takedowns against a well-known fighter from Team Habib, that's an impressive feat from Maxim, even in the loss. And he also had some pretty good striking moments, I thought. Seems Azat Maxim has improved his striking somewhat. I still think maybe Mitch Raposo has overall the better fundamentals. At least I think he keeps his hands up better and uses better boxing. But Azat Maxim, he seems to have improved. And you do look at the 2 losses, right? 2 top 15 guys, Tagir Ulanbekov, who's really good, who's only lost in the UFC is Tim Elliott, and Charles Johnson, who is a prospect killer in his own right and has beaten a lot of undefeated fighters. Now, of course, a loss here. What does that really say about Azat Maxim? Well, we'll find out October 25th. But it was something that's really helped Azat Maxim in terms of his takedown defense is his dexterity and balance. He's got such great balance, tall for the flyweight division, and uses that height and balance very well. And even is so dexterous as like when Tagir went for like a body lock trip, Azat Maksum was literally just able to spin him and put Tagir down instead of himself. Now, Mitch Raposo is going to be wrestling a bit differently than Tagir, but I think that balance that Azat Maksum has is really going to help him throughout this fight. I can see Mitch Raposo getting some takedowns in because he is a very explosive and pretty strong flyweight. But even if he were able to take Maksum down, I think Azat Maksum is going to be able to reverse a lot of the positions and maybe and possibly get to top position, whether it be full guard, half guard, doesn't matter. I think he's going to be able to reverse a lot of the positions and end up on top. Now, looking at their physical stats, Maksum is 5'7" with a 70-inch reach, while Raposo is 5'5" with a 64.5-inch reach. So Maksum is going to be the bigger guy in there, I think. And while Raposo is going to be the short, stockier, overall, American style wrestler, he does use that to pretty good effect. As I say, he's got some good explosive takedowns and takedown entries. Just his overall control isn't the best. And I think that lack of ability to control his opponents is really going to come back to bite him in this matchup. Because I think Tagir Ulanbekov, even if he were to get taken down, has overall the better grappling and better reversals. I think he's going to be able to get up from a lot of the advantageous positions and wind up on top. And I think his striking is a bit more powerful than Raposo. I think he's going to hurt Raposo more. And while I don't know if he's going to get the finish, of his only win, he wasn't able to finish Tyson Nam, who's not in the UFC anymore. But, Azat Maksum on the regional scenes had some really good submissions. So, I never want to discredit. But overall, I got to go with Azat Maksum. I think he's fought just much better competition. That being said, Andre Lima's a very good fighter, and I think he will be ranked soon. But right now, I think Azat Maksum's fought better competition and been more competitive with said competition in comparison to Mitch Raposo, who's his two split decisions, I don't think were really split decisions. Odds-wise for the fight, minus 340 for Maksum, plus 265 for Raposo. Again, these odds make sense. I think Azat Maksum has just a bit more potential, and I just think he's going to do some bad things to Mitch Raposo in this matchup. So my official prediction, I'm going to go with Azat Maksum, and I'm going to pick him via decision in this one. I think I can see a 30-27 as the most likely outcome of the two. But with that being said, that's been my breakdown for this fight. If you liked the video, comment and subscribe. Next up, we will have Chris Barnett versus Hamdi Abdulhawad. That is such a mouthful for me. But until then, I have been Bo from Brutal Commentary. And thank you all for listening. Take care.